Did you know that the cute little pals you've been collecting are actually mutated humans? I know, I was shocked too. How do I know this? I'll explain. So there's this scientist, let's call him Bob, that spends a shocking amount of time studying maps. So long, in fact, that he notices a strange inconsistency, a part of the ocean that's suspiciously empty. So what does he do? Naturally, he charters a boat to go and check it out for himself without telling a single soul. I guess he really didn't want to share the credit. But this trip turned out to be a lot more than he bargained for. As he approached the island, he was surrounded by a thick fog, and bam! Suddenly, he's attacked out of the darkness. The ship is torn into shreds, and he washes up on the shore of a strange beach. In the sand, he finds a strange alien artifact that looks kind of like a tablet, and soon after, he meets his very first pal, or his first few. Immediately, he notices that the creatures of this island are nothing like he's ever seen before. I wonder why. And in fact, there are no normal animals at all. So Bob stumbles down the beach, probably regretting every decision he's made that's led him to this point, when he comes across a shiny sphere. He picks it up and throws it out of frustration, and bam! It sucks in a nearby creature. Surprised, he throws it again, but this time the creature pops back out and it's suddenly friendly towards him. Here's where he gets the idea of calling these creatures pals. Now, Bob spends the next few days settling into island life, and he takes to it pretty well. He explores around and finds some ruins with the recipe for pal spheres inscribed on the walls. Being a scientist really helps here because he's able to find a way to create more. With the help of the spheres, Bob befriends more pals and learns that they all have different skills and affinity towards different work. Soon, he starts experimenting with saddles and attachments for the pals. And then a shocking thing happens on day 10. He meets another human. Bob starts feeling safe, so he decides to wander out and take a look at the tower obelisk-like structure in the distance. He's casually strolling down the road when suddenly a human jumps out from the bushes. Bob tries to talk to them, but they just point a gun at his face. It's a good thing his brave Lamball steps up and attacks the aggressive human, buying him just enough time to get away. Shocked and frightened, he runs back to the base. The humans, he assumes, must be what's left of the ancient civilization, but why are they wearing modern-day clothing? These people and the tower become Bob's new obsession over the next few days. On day 11, he comes back and he kills the human that attacked him earlier using his pals. On day 12, he comes back and watches them from the shadows, trying to figure out who or what they are, until finally, he gets the courage to approach the tower. And that is how Bob meets Zoe Rayne. Now, Zoe's story is a little sad because her role as the tower protector is not something that she's ever wanted. She's an orphan who never got a chance to meet her mother and whose father disappeared many years ago. Now she lives with the smugglers who capture and sell pals in exchange for food, and her only job is to protect the tower, just like her father did before her. Her tribe is also continuously at war with another group of locals called the Free Pal Alliance, a conflict that's gone on so long nobody even remembers how it started. She came into the role of Tower Guardian in a weird way when she befriended a panda her smuggler associates tried to sell. She saw it there one day, sitting in a cage looking helpless, and felt sorry for it. So she snuck out at night and set it free, and they immediately became friends. When the smugglers tried to punish her in the morning, the panda knocked them all out with a bolt of electricity, and they've been together ever since. And that's what Bob saw that day when he was teleported inside. A giant electric panda with a human controlling it on top. He ran away in fear and, as far as we know, never attempted to go in again. Instead, he spent his days trying to solve the mysteries of the island. He explored the vast caverns, found more traces of an ancient civilization, and realized that some things just seem to happen by magic. Finding more questions than answers, by the end of his 30th day on the island, he had taken to arming the pals with guns and using the weak ones for meat. An unforgivable blasphemy, according to Lily Everheart, the guardian of the second tower and the leader of the Free Pal Alliance. Now, Lily loves pals to the point of cult-like worship and believes humans only exist to serve and protect them. Her organization has 5 simple rules. Thou must not eat pals, overwork pals, abuse pals, use pals for experiment, and thou must risk thy life to protect pals. And she takes those rules to heart because the day that she formed an alliance with her companion pal Lylene, Lily ruthlessly slaughtered a group of human poachers trying to capture her. Beaten, shot, and bloody, she returns to her base only to find Lylene waiting there for her. The pal healed her wounds and Lily fell in love, referring to her as my queen. She sees herself as the guardian of the pals on Palpagos Islands and even pays the PIDF, the island's police force, to guard the most vulnerable pals. But she grows suspicious of her own cult, organization, and their methods for making money. Little does she know that the islands are actually run by Marcus Dryden, the guardian of the third tower and the leader of the PIDF, the Palpagos Islands Defense Force. Now, Marcus only cares about making money, and he's found a genius strategy. He's taken to secretly selling stims, and then finding and arresting anybody in possession of it. That way, he makes money when he sells it, when he finds the villagers for using it, and then again when he resells the same product he's confiscated. Judging by the tone of his journal entries, he's having the time of his life. A lot like the guardian of Tower 4, Axel Traverse. Now, Axel doesn't really seem to have much to say. We only have one diary entry from him, and it's a rap complaining about how he has no good rivals to fight. Here, I'll throw up the lyrics on the screen. As you can see, he's really into fighting. Don't really know much else about him. I mean, good for him, I guess? But believe it or not, the real villain of this piece is the final boss from Tower 5, Victor Ashford, who's the textbook definition of a mad scientist. His journal entries detail his attempts to genetically modify pals and make them stronger. Specifically, he was working on combining four-legged and winged pals. But in every attempt, the bodies deteriorated in seconds. He tries again and again until one of his experiments finally succeeds. He did it. He created a new species called Shadowbeak. But there's only one problem. He's never able to replicate his success again. In the final line of his final journal entry, he notes that the disappearance of Alex, who served as his lab assistant, is concerning. So now we know the full story, let's look at all the evidence we have, pals being at least in part human. Special thanks to Boneneedle for sharing their findings on Reddit. First, pals exhibit very human-like behavior. In journal entry 32 from the Castaway, he talks about how the pals on the island are extremely aggressive and protective. More than any wild animal, it reminds him of how humans act when defending their territory. 2. They're all able to use tools, and not just tools specifically adapted for them. Workshop tools like hammers and nails. Almost every pal is able to help with crafting blueprints at the workbench. 3. The spheres are able to capture humans. While the game tells you it considers the act inhumane, we know the technology is there and it's very much possible. 4. There are no normal animals, but the pals are eerily similar to the animals we know. The lamb ball looks a hell of a lot like a sheep, the fox Sparks is basically just a fox, and the dire howl is a direct descendant of the dire wolf according to the pal deck. Some of them are even named after their workshop purpose, like Chillet, for example. Then there's the extremely damning pal deck description for Robin Quill, which says, a pal that is very similar to humans who hunts and lives in the forests. It may prove to be the key for understanding what pals are and how they diverged from humans so long ago. So here we have undeniable proof that pals and humans share DNA. And lastly, we already know that Victor's experiment also required human DNA in order to create the new species Shadowbeak. The evidence clearly seems to suggest that human DNA plays a big part in what makes pals so unique. But right now, we still have more questions than answers. Like, what's up with the giant tree? Where did the ancients go? And why are there shipping containers with the name Pal Express? Hopefully, the next big update will give us more lore, but until then, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.